Democrats are melting down over a report that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries met with President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to discuss potential areas of common ground with the White House.
Do you see places where Democrats could work with this White House and find some common ground on some policy issues, Senator?
I wish I could say yes. This has been a lawless Trump administration. They've been out of control.
Do you support the fact that Leader Jeffries met with Jared Kushner?
Look, I'm in favor of people meeting with whoever they want to discuss ideas, but it's one thing to have a meeting. It's another thing to see something real come out of that.
And the far left is even more outraged. They're slamming Jeffries for betraying the party. Rich, the freak out that happened after this meeting occurred, I thought was notable. You know, it's not unlike the president to meet with just about anybody and talk to just about anybody, talk with anyone about anything. So it didn't shock me that they met, but the reaction on the far left was interesting.
Well, if Democrats do win the House, to govern the country, they are going to have to speak with the White House. They're going to have to speak with maybe Senate Republicans. If they win the Senate, it's a different argument, different conversation. But this is what adults do when they have to govern. Now, there is plenty of heated rhetoric. We're in the middle of a midterm campaign, and it may be some of the rhetoric we're seeing right now. This is simply to fire up the base. But for too long in Washington, and this has been a problem with both parties, it's a waiting game of getting control of the House, the White House, and the Senate. And if you don't have that, then you think your job is to simply just resist and, gum up the works. But no, you need to govern the country. You have to pass appropriations bills. You have to pass these things every year that are required, are the basic requirements of Congress. So the fact that Jeffries is meeting with the son-in-law of the president, who's obviously one of his most trusted aides, he's around the world negotiating deals all over.
Dealing with the Iranians.
Dealing with the Iranians, for God's sakes. I mean, this is, you would think that the line of communications are open. So maybe he committed a political sin, but this is these are the things you kind of have to do when you govern a country.
Yeah, and Tommy, there are folks in MAGA who become very upset when Republicans have worked with Democrats in the past, too. So should they have met? What do you think?
Well, President Trump met with Mamdani, right? This is not a new thing. You can still meet and talk with people. I would also say it's pretty rich for Van Hollen to talk about meeting with somebody when I think he was having some margaritas with Kilmar Abrego Garcia outside of Seacott. So for him to say, don't meet with somebody, coming from Van Hollen is really something. I'd just like to point that out. Listen, I think that it's just anything that these DSA people and these people that are obviously ferocious in their pursuit of their socialist candidates and their socialist rule, they're going to be upset with anybody that's establishment. They've decided that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are establishment. I happen to think that most Democrats are socialists/communists. I don't think that there's actually that much daylight between a Hakeem Jeffries and an Abdul El Sayed. I really don't. But for these people who are wanting to push their socialist candidates and they want to get these victories, they're going to be upset with any time somebody from the administration meets with someone with a D behind their name, and they're going to use it to fuel social media outrage. Nothing new.
You know, Joey, some saw this meeting as an acknowledgement by the White House that Republicans are not going to retake the House in November.
Yeah, and so they've met twice, actually. They met a while ago as well. So they had an established relationship of some sort. A couple things here. Off the very top, Jared Kushner, Jewish, all the things going on in Israel, that's going to set the entire far left afire to begin with through their anti-Semitism and their overall dislike of Israel in general. So that's going to set some things on fire. The New York Times had 5 sources supposedly read in on this. That tells me that they wanted people to know. Like somebody, they wanted to leak this for some reason. I don't know if they're sending a signal to the far left, hey, get in line, or if they're sending, or if Republicans leaked it to send a signal, I'm not really sure. But I will say this. I don't think for a second this meeting means that Hakeem Jeffries is looking to work with the White House on anything. This is a race to the bottom. If Democrats take the House and they have a thin majority, just like Kevin McCarthy did, then those socialists that are getting in there, the far left that are getting in there, could be the disruptors that Hakeem Jeffries is going to need Republicans to do things like pass a budget. And maybe they're trying to negotiate how many impeachments they'll do to still pass the budget. But that's where we are with this. We're not, they said they were talking about housing and immigration and high cost living. All that goes out the window. If Democrats take the House, especially Well, if they take the House especially, it's going to be impeachment and fiery flame throwing and a race to the bottom. That's just what we'll have.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.